Hi guys, Ashley here. I am your China marketing expert, and in my videos I talk about China, marketing and leadership. Today I'm here with Brennan, the world's top expert on Tencent. Matt, phenomenal to have you here. And it's 2019. Tell us, what is happening in Tencent right now?
A lot. Yeah.
What is happening?
An awful lot. It's changing very fast. It's a company that is reinventing itself. You know, when we think of Tencent, we think of we think of WeChat. We think of gaming, right? It's the world's largest gaming company, and these are really the things that they're mega successful with. But now Tencent's trying to reinvent themselves as a B2B company.
How do you mean that? How do you mean that? A B2B company doing what?
Cloud services.
Smart retail?
Yes, it's based around all different industry verticals. Retail is obviously a huge one, but it's not just retail. You can think of education, you think of tourism, you can think of financial services. Tencent has positioned itself as a digital assistant, which means they're trying to help all of these Chinese, in all of these industries in China, digitalize their service. And a lot of that is putting everything into the cloud, and then a lot of it is building out services from that, collecting more data. So a lot of it's about leveraging big data and AI, and then using WeChat as the touch point to the consumer. And using WeChat Enterprise as the sort of Slack, as you were, for China, that businesses would use internally, and a mini program as your app for China, where you can embed all of your services and then your portal for your company into with the WeChat scanner, so the consumer can use all these services really easily, low friction. And it's a big change because Tencent rather, is not a natural B2B company. When you think of Alibaba, right? Alibaba...
They started as a B2B company.
Yes.
For them it's a lot more natural. They know how to run businesses. They know how to make money.
How did Alibaba start, right?
Yeah.
They started with Jack Ma and his guys running around to small businesses trying to persuade them, hey, there's the internet and you might want to be on the internet. And so that's where they've begun, with talking to small businesses and trying to sell to businesses. Tencent, when you look back historically, they're a company that were notorious for being super insular and only caring about their own users and being very awkward and difficult to work with other businesses. And even today, they've still got that reputation. In China, it's
so
quite
why now?
well known.
Why are they reinventing themselves right now in 2018, 2019?
Right. Well, I think they're going with the trend. It's not just Tencent saying that B2B is the future, that what they term industrial internet is the future. Alibaba's doing the same. Huawei's doing the same. All of the big giants are focusing on this area because they believe it's going to be high growth. When you look at the consumer-facing internet, mobile essentially, we've had this huge 10-year period of unimaginable growth. Right? It's coming to an end. It's slowing down. It's mature. And where is the growth going to come now? Where's
the next wave is the B2B.
Growth? That's what everyone's saying.
So what's essentially, for our listeners here, what essentially is going to be happening in China in the B2B space right now with this new wave of revolution? Doesn't matter whether they use Alibaba ecosystem or they use Tencent ecosystem. What is to come?
Sure. If you look at retail is the one that most people are talking about. I think the big one that especially international brands are really excited about. And so, new retail, Jack Ma, for years they've been talking about it. Tencent calls it smart retail. Their positioning is different. Even boundless retail for JD, everyone's going on about it. But what does that actually mean? In terms of the actual store experience, I think there's an incredible amount of digitalization still yet to happen. And the forefront of that would be something like facial recognition, which is being used for payments now. And so we're seeing that that's rapidly gone from something that's very niche, where it's okay, you might see it at a conference as something cool, but now you can go to a 7-Eleven store in pretty much anywhere in China and they actually have a facial recognition machine there, and that's happened very recently. So you're going to see that this is wave of it being used for payments, and it's just become very normal now. It's not something special anymore. And then in terms of tracking customers around the store, and then digitalizing that, and sort of what we expect online when we think of conversion funnels for like my Amazon store, for example. Okay, like how many people visited my store? Did they put something in the cart? Did they actually buy it? Right, and then what's the conversion rates there? Where's the problem? Do I need to rearrange or create a new picture? All of that stuff for online we've been doing for decades, right? But have you really been able to offline be able to do that stuff?
The quality of data offline is also much better, right? You will be able to understand the sentiment. Are people excited? Why exactly? Where are they going? What is their basically movement and decision process? Not just, okay, they saw it and they bought it or they didn't buy it, right? So it's a different quality of data as well. When we talk about that specifically retail revolution, so Alibaba is a bit ahead. Because they've also had experience. They are basically an e-commerce company, essentially, and they are now very aggressively developing in China those supermarket chains, etc., to just do the concept proof. So what is the piece of Tencent's pie then, with their smart retail and their B2B digitalization of China?
Well, Tencent, the term they're really using is digital assistant. So it's quite a different positioning from Alibaba. And it's more about, we help you digitalize, we don't compete with you. Because like with retail, if you're in retail and you're not invested by Alibaba, they don't own part of you, they're not backing you, they're kind of a frenemy, right? You kind of love them when you get traffic in, but ultimately it's a bit like Amazon in the States, where you're like, one day they're going to come along and take our market. It's sort of how a lot of people think about Alibaba. And more so Amazon actually in the States. So Tencent is like, we'll never do that. We are a pure online company, and it's true. Like, they're an internet company. They don't do offline. Tencent doesn't know how to do offline very well. They're not suited to it. They're more like Google or Facebook. They're a pure internet company. So their position, it's actually safer to partner with them. In terms of this company is just offering services to help us, services and expertise, technology to actually help us do all the really complex stuff that as a traditional retailer or as an education company or as a tourism board somewhere, we have absolutely we do not have access to that kind of resources. Another great thing is that, of course, they have WeChat, so they have this customer touch point which beats everything, and so they can actually potentially help you reach those people in WeChat more easily, and through a mini program or through WeChat Pay or through WeChat Enterprise. There's different ways that they can leverage the fact that they're the only people who can reach everyone in China. Even Alipay doesn't reach everyone. Once you go down to lower tier cities, once you go into like seniors.
So Matt, in 2019, where is WeChat then? Are you still excited about this platform? Because people say, okay, there are challengers coming on stage there. WeChat is becoming more difficult in some areas. It's very expensive to promote. It's, people are getting tired of it. People are moving off. Essentially, everybody's there, but probably the purpose why they're there is also changing a little bit. So what's happening with WeChat right now in 2019?
Yeah, it seems WeChat is like all in on mini programs and basically becoming an operating system as much as they can, becoming a platform, a true mobile platform. I believe mini programs still has a long way to go. We're not at the very early innings of it, but when you look at the numbers of mini programs, it's still growing quite healthily. You look at the innovation on the platform and new models that are coming out with e-commerce.
Live streaming as well. Yeah,
live streaming. There's still a lot happening there. It does have a differentiated value compared to an app or a website. And I think in China now there's consensus around that with regard to how businesses, I think in the future, you're going to find there's very few businesses that are wanting to open a website in China. That moving forward, everyone's going to be doing just mini programs as small and medium-sized businesses. That doesn't mean just WeChat mini programs. There's Alipay, of course, there's ByteDance, all these players. But the format works, and it's more intuitive. And
it's seamless. People don't need to go anywhere. They just stay where they are and they get access to all those services, right?
The developer ecosystem is growing. It's becoming easier and easier to build them. Whether you're using Tencent's cloud services. You don't even need to do a back end. So for developers, it's just becoming really, really easy. And the team's goal, the stated goal with mini programs, is to get it so that even a child can develop mini programs, right? That's their own. Yeah, that's what they say.
So right now there are, let's say, international businesses watching us right now, and they really want to get on WeChat mini program. What are the steps that they need to take right now? How much will it cost? Where shall they go in order to get that mini program that substitutes their website and essentially helps them finish checkout, let's say?
Sure, yeah. So in terms of building one, it's actually very easy. That's why they did it. Is actually they felt that originally one of the key reasons why they actually started with mini programs in the first place is that it's ridiculously difficult to build an iOS and Android app.
Yeah. And expensive, of course.
And expensive, yeah. So they roughly, we get that question a lot about how much does it cost. It really does depend, but you can think of it as a mini program can do 80% of what an app can do typically. So there are some things it can't do in terms of linking
For instance,
together.
what
with
can't it do?
If you're linking with hardware, IoT, if you're trying to do augmented reality and things like that, that high-end stuff. If you've got a game that's like a big bulky game, there's no way you can do that. So there are definitely things.
Limitations.
Yeah. For a brand, they tend not to do that stuff, right? Like the stuff that brands want to do is usually mini programs is fine. And then in terms of cost, you're looking at about 20% roughly of what you would think to develop the equivalent for iOS Android. Right, so you really have quite a big difference there. But it doesn't mean that you don't do an app. Like a lot of people are using mini programs as user acquisition for apps. When you look at the number one success case study of mini programs, which is Pinduoduo.
Yes.
$25 billion company.
More than half of their purchases are happening through Pinduoduo WeChat mini program.
Yeah.
But then another 40+% are through the app. Yeah.
Yeah. So those app users are coming from the mini program. Like they're driving it from there, right? Like you start on WeChat, and then if you become a regular user, they will incentivize you to download the app, right? And then they move into the app. So it's a conversion funnel to get them onto their platform eventually.